The phone hadn't been used in years. It stood on a low table near the window, half hidden behind a stack of dusty books and a ceramic ashtray with nothing in it but the yellowed memory of smoke. He kept it more out of habit than purpose, a relic from the time before cell phones became everything, a kind of silent totem, disconnected but not quite dead. The line was unplugged. The jack long since pulled from the wall. He hadn't heard it ring since the winter 3 years ago, when someone had called asking for a name he didn't recognize, and the silence after he answered had felt just a second too long. He lived alone in a quiet apartment on the third floor of a building that never seemed full, even when every window was lit. The nights were uneventful, measured by the hum of the radiator and the faint creaks of old floorboards. His sleep came easily. His dreams, when he had them, were vague, without texture. But one night, in the middle of that deep hour when everything is too still, the sound came. The phone rang. Just once. It was unmistakable, not a digital tone or a recording, but the specific weight and pitch of that old mechanical bell, the kind that trembles as it sounds, like a hand shaking glass. He sat up, confused. Looked around. Waited. The room was silent. No movement. Just darkness. He got up. Approached the phone. It sat in its place, inert. The cable was still unplugged, dangling like a dry root. He stood there a long time, half expecting it to ring again. But it didn't. The next night, exactly 3:04 a.m., it rang again. One sharp, precise ring. Then silence. This time he didn't move. On the third night, he waited. Sat in the dark, eyes fixed on the phone. Watched the minute hand crawl toward the hour. At 3:04, the bell rang once. No vibration. No flicker. The phone didn't move. But the sound filled the room. Cold, perfect, familiar. He checked everything. The jack. The wires. The power supply. He even opened the back of the unit with a screwdriver, dusted the components, stared at the tiny solder points as if they might blink. But there was nothing. No power. No explanation. No mistake. And yet the ringing kept happening. Once a night. Always at 3:04. He stopped trying to explain it after the sixth night. There was no logic to follow, no system to dismantle, no plausible chain of events that could justify a phone without power ringing with the precision of a pulse, no randomness, no missed nights, just the same cold tone at exactly 3:04, sharp as a key turning in a door he never heard open. He unplugged it entirely, not just from the wall but from itself, disassembled the base, removed the receiver, unwound the coils, until it was no longer a phone but a handful of inert plastic and wire laid out like pieces of a puzzle that no longer remembered what it was supposed to be. And still, the sound came. Exactly the same. One ring. He moved the parts to another room, left them on the kitchen counter beneath a dish rag, then sat in the dark again, watching the space where the phone used to be. At 3:04, the sound echoed again, not muffled, not distant, but exactly as before, clean and immediate, as though the air itself carried the memory of the bell regardless of the hardware that birthed it. He stopped sleeping. Not entirely, but in fragments, light, flickering sleep that dissolved the moment he felt the hour drawing close. It wasn't fear in the usual sense, no panic, no heartbeat racing, but something deeper, like an internal stillness stretching too thin, a quiet that began to feel unnatural, almost pressurized, as though the silence itself were being held in place by the expectation of that single sound. On the ninth night, he didn't wait inside. He left the apartment 2 hours before the time and wandered the streets, hoping the cold air and empty sidewalks might shake the repetition loose. He sat on a bench under the amber glare of a street lamp, watched his breath form and vanish. At 3:04, even there, he heard it, one distinct ring, not loud, but unmistakable, carried through his memory or through the world itself, he no longer knew. He turned his head toward home instinctively, as if the sound had traveled through brick and concrete and air to reach him, as if the source wasn't the phone at all, but something else, something that had chosen the phone only because it knew he would understand that particular voice.